December's here, everybody, and it's time for the big push through to 2026. And the opportunity, a new year, always brings a business owner to set goals, to lay plans, and start acting on them. Yet, as you'll hear on this edition of Overdrive Radio for December 1st, 2025, it's also true that in so many ways, the time for all of that is, well, now, for any small trucking business owner at any given moment. Like a football coach responding to what the opposing team is throwing at his own, a quarterback changing the play at the line. Successful owner-operators are nothing if not masters of the art of getting prepped for the unforeseen. An impossible ask of anyone in some ways, but also a reality I think you'll hear through today's talk with 4 Overdrive Trucker of the Year contenders for this year's title. I'm Todd Dills, your host as usual for this one, gleaned from a talk I had over this past Thanksgiving weekend with the 4, where I put 2 big questions to all. First, I asked for an update on the business looking into 2026 since we last talked with each owner, whether any goals set early in the year had been brought to fruition, or whether any big changes to the business had occurred. Second, I asked each owner to reflect on the year and their respective long histories trucking, and offer a single best piece of advice each might deliver to new and or aspiring owner-operators to help on the long road to success. As noted, today we'll hear from 4 Trucker of the Year contenders, including John Penn, our most recent Trucker of the Month in October, hauling LTL furniture principally with a 2019 Freightliner Cascadia, well known for fuel efficiency. Penn's up above 11 miles per gallon in the unit today, pushing the envelope further with lift axle modifications for his van trailers in recent times.
Because of the light weight of the furniture, I can have one. Actually, I could be on probably 3 axles a lot of times, so I thought there's no point in dragging those axles around.
John Penn was enjoying fairly decent weather in Orleans, Indiana, due south of a lot of this weekend's snow in the region when we talked. In addition to Penn, we'll hear from similarly LTL-focused fresh meat reefer hauler Jason Shelley, who was seeing that weather head his way farther east and north.
It's a nice day here in southeastern Pennsylvania. I see a little bit of snow forecasted for tomorrow evening.
Kokomo, Indiana-based John Treadway, then, independent, hauling fresh flowers from a supplier in his area, was shoveling snow as we spoke.
Yeah, we're in about the 5 to 7 inch range today.
John Treadway had big news of the unfortunate variety to share. With the engine in his pristine 1998 Peterbilt 379 teal appeal, having experienced a catastrophic failure in October after his Trucker of the Month nod the prior month. 2-truck dump fleet owner Hunter Hubbard could feel the pain there, as it were, given her own issues with the powertrain in her similarly show-worthy 2005 Kenworth W9 dump.
But I feel for the engine problems because I'm having that problem currently with mine.
On the other side of a break, we'll dive in with all 4 Trucker of the Year semifinalists toward a goal I think owner-operator John Treadway may have summed up the best. Fundamentally, the Trucker of the Year competition is aimed not only at recognition, but to lend the benefit of these owners' experience to all of you, to everyone in Overdrive's audience of owner-operators, including the contenders themselves. As John Treadway put it,
us older guys still need to learn too. And you can learn from each other. I've learned a lot just listening just now. Reading the stories that you put out. You can't never stop looking into what's around the corner. I was pretty much busy all the time with the flower company and kind of seeing the future coming and so then I went and purchased my own trailer so I'd be able to fill in the gaps. And I learned that from other guys and watching the market and seeing what's going on. And we tell the younger guys to do this, but I don't think we can stop learning either. As much as the world's changing, the trucking industry's changing, we could all, sit around and have talks like this, and I feel like, come out with a better outlook on my future. I really feel better hearing some of the stories that maybe I've went along the way that they have, and maybe I haven't, and we'll try to use some of their perspective in the future.
There's much more where that came from, so keep tuned.
Winter doesn't wait, and neither should you. Treat now with Howe's Diesel Treat to prevent your fuel from gelling, and keep using it at every fill-up this winter to make sure you're always running strong when the cold sets in. But if you waited too long to treat your fuel and get hit with a winter emergency, Howe's Diesel Lifeline works fast, reliquefying gelled fuel and de-icing frozen filters to get you moving again. Stay prepared with complete winter readiness from Howe's. Prevention and rescue trusted by drivers everywhere, because downtime isn't an option.
Find more information about Overdrive Radio sponsor Howes at HOWES, howesproducts.com. Here's John Treadway. bringing us all up to speed on just what's happened to his pristine Teal Appeal 1998 379 since we featured him in September.
Business went down a little bit. It's been slow, but it's on the gradual upside. Some goals I had have been set back. Recently the engine in my truck blew. So I'm currently, that happened in October, and I went for the route they have new reman motors nowadays, Caterpillar, with new components. And so I decided to go that route for this truck, and then maybe use the other engine for my 06 on down the line. And we've had some problems with it so far. It's not been completely a smooth transition. They put the engine in, got it back end of October, had some trouble with it, and they've had it pretty much ever since. That's a setback on my future endowments, to get it ready for this winter for the, upcoming Matt's truck show. But we're going to make the best of it. Hopefully I get it back in time and get everything put together. Yeah, I bought the motor from Caterpillar. It's a reman with new components, new head, cylinders, block, crank, and then the rest of the parts are still reman.
Right.
Since then, we put brand new injectors in it. They tried to do some injector work. We ended up with 6 brand new injectors, not reman. They tried a different ECM. They've tried several sensors, manually retimed it. They've really been all through the fuel system, and just engineers are involved. It's at the Caterpillar shop down in Indianapolis, Indiana right now. They've had it since, they had it, I think, 7 days the first time, and then it's been since November 3rd.
When you purchase from the manufacturer like that, I assume that reman engine comes with a warranty that you're able to capitalize on here with this most recent work. A lot of what they're doing now is probably warranty work, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the reasons I decided to go this route. It was actually running a special, and I got a 4-year warranty with the engine. Finances are a struggle all the time now, in this era. So every little bit that has to go someplace that you're not planning on it definitely affects you. That's
Teal Appeal that you're talking about.
Yeah, my truck Teal Appeal.
What was the issue? What happened?
I believe the valve guides came loose, knocked the tip of the piston off, went down into the piston and damaged some upper side of the system, or piston, I'm sorry. And hopefully just the number one hole there is affected. We're going to tear it down possibly this winter and try to do something with that. Put it in like a 06 truck maybe.
But you do have, when the truck was down, you do have the spare. I remember that from your story. I imagine that's been able to keep you, serving the customer that you haul for mostly, right?
Right. That is one thing we had discussed before. How I, am able to keep going, and I don't know if I really spoke on it enough, but I would literally be out of business if it wasn't for this having the backup truck. I mean, I don't know that everybody can do that. I was able to be in a position when I got my first one paid off to, purchase the second one, and it's been a good truck, and it's saved me many times now. And this is another one that when somebody has your truck's down for a month or two or 4 or 5 at a time, which it has been a couple different times, there's just hard to survive without that second truck. I just can't say enough about it.
Is it a 379?
Yeah, it's an 2006 379 Peterbilt.
Is it a cat motor as well?
Yeah, it's also got a cat motor. It's got an Acer in it at the moment.
How many miles on that one, and has it been overhauled in the past as well?
So I don't really know the history of the motor too much. I tried to contact a few people to find out. It's about 47,000 miles away, or 43,000 miles actually, away from having 2 million miles.
Okay.
On the truck. And I'm not sure about the engine. It's still getting me down the road, but I'm getting concerned.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's had one sometime, but it's still running, and it's keeping me afloat. So knock on wood, right. Let's keep going down the road.
How long have you had that one? Don't remind me.
I bought it the fall of 20. I redid I overhauled the Peterbilt truck in the fall of 2020. I bought it for that specific reason, and then decided to go ahead and rebuild or do the build on the Peterbilt.
Right.
And that went into 2021, and I've had it ever since.
Going into this coming year, obviously you want to get that that issue resolved. Any big plans for you going into 2026, John?
Definitely, everything hinges on getting my Peterbilt truck, back on the road, running the way it should. Whether I get to some projects that I had originally was wanting to do this winter on it, and some of those might be delayed now. I've got a good outlook for 2026. I've been able to make contacts through a good friend of mine who, doing some more hauling this summer in between my, I haul for flowers out of the greenhouse there out of Westfield, Indiana, and in between seasons there, I'll be able to pick up some other freight through my buddy's connection here and haul some, watermelons and pumpkins on down the road, and I'm looking for a big turnaround.
Small fleet owner Hunter Hubbard, like Treadway, was looking at some new opportunities in addition to unexpected engine work on her primary 05 Kenworth dumper, as you'll hear in what follows.
Well, everything's been going somewhat smooth. Work's kind of hit and miss with my area, at least, building-wise, on the dump side of things. That's normal, I guess, for the most part. It just hit and miss. You never know. But I feel for the engine problems because I'm having that problem currently with mine.
Okay.
So, being prepared definitely is one of those things, and expect the unexpected, I guess. Trying to pinpoint exactly what's going on with it, to be honest with you. I just got back from a test drive that didn't go very successfully, so we're about to go back outside and work on that when I get off the call. But motor problems that I'm not super thrilled to have, not like anybody is, but don't have any miles on it from the rebuild, so not super happy about that.
I think when we talked with you early in the year, you spoke to, I think this past winter, you had a customer of yours that basically became more or less unavailable to you over the winter period that you had relied on a lot in the past. Any change in that status heading into this winter, or any success in the more over-the-road work that you were looking to do to kind of fill that gap, I guess?
There's some leads I have for some of the over-the-road work for the winter. Just getting all that stuff set up currently with some different people I've been working with throughout the year. And as for the companies that I was telling you all about previously and all that, unfortunately, they sold out and went, their different route. So throughout the year, just been trying to, adjust and regroup and work with, some different people.
You have been running that tractor throughout the year a good bit then, sounds like.
Beginning of the year, definitely a good bit, and then switched over to the dump side of things during its peak season and falling back on the tractor on the off season.
As noted up top, owner-operator Jason Shelley, from whom we'll hear next, runs refrigerated meat, multi-stop loads out to Amish markets along the eastern seaboard, a niche he carved over many years on his own with a business partner to start more than a decade ago. He does it all in a beautiful custom 2007 model Western Star you'll hear him mention in what follows.
We're on track for a good year. Definitely not record-breaking, but we're coming off a peak, 2002 or 22, 23, 24 were peaks, and 25 and going into 26 I think is leveling off, which I think we needed. We rode that wave as long as we could, but overall, good mileage rates. Have to work a little bit harder connecting the dots for myself. I'm an LTL carrier, so that pickup that I may have just passed by a couple years ago, well, I'm not passing it by this year. I'm going to wait for it. I'll go get it. I'll pursue it. But, you know what? That's what it takes. That's what we're doing. That's the business we're in. So I'm thankful to have those opportunities. They just might be a little bit harder to come by as far as schedule-wise. as far as the goals we set, we've met goals. We've exceeded some. You know, we set a weekly revenue goal, an overall average rate per mile goal, and we're on track. We've had some really good weeks that made up for some not so great weeks, and you know, weeks turns into months and months turns into a year, obviously. And then just on the personal side, you know, we had a wedding last year. We have a wedding coming up this year. So, you know, goals of being able to take off a little bit more home time to be around for those. We'll definitely be around for those events, but just helping out and planning and setting up. And, you know, we just are prioritizing those goals as our kids, you know, go into adulthood, just that we're prioritizing that to be there. The other thing, you know, we're talking equipment, we're talking motors, we're talking, you know, used trucks. So in our area here in the Northeast, it looks good for acquisitions of used equipment. Prices are really coming down, and guys, I think, quite frankly, are just getting desperate and selling stuff to in hopes to maybe avoid bankruptcy or a foreclosure or a repo. And so that's good for us that are in a position to make those acquisitions. Like Hunter said, with the issues of older trucks, used trucks, you know, you got to have a plan B. So I actually bought a truck in the last couple of weeks, which is another plan B, plan C for myself, so that when something goes down, we can not skip a beat. So those are the positives. At the same time, like I said, it's been challenging connecting those dots, but you know what? We've embraced that. Just lean into it. And, you know, it was pretty easy for those years, and now we got to get back to being creative and, you know, out hustling really is what it comes down to for us. Yeah, so my history is buying something pretty ugly, something wore out, and just, you know, like I told you before, Todd, that I don't have any hobbies. Trucks are my hobby. So I've never messed with a Mack, so I actually picked up a 2020 Mack Anthem. I'm still familiarizing myself with the brand. Obviously, iconic, especially here in the Northeast. I live 30 miles from the Reading plant. But, you know, small bunk, longer wheelbase, big power, a truck that was in a more of a fleet truck, but it's kind of the spec I look for. And it's what I call fugly, funny and ugly looking. But, you know, that MP8, like I said, big power, automatic transmission, because I'm actually looking at a shoulder surgery. So I'm thinking, hey, if I got to work through this shoulder surgery, I'll be able to drive still. $20,000 for a truck that has less than 400,000 miles on it and a clean bill of health.
Shelley expects he'll put another $10,000 into the Mack to get it where he wants it, both mechanically and cosmetically, and see where that takes him. If nothing else, as capable backup to his current 2007 Western Star.
You know, just be something a little bit different. That's kind of what we've gotten into. My old Western Star, you know, it's treated us really well, but, you know, it's going on $1.9 million. So you need to have that plan B.
Well, actually, this year's been going pretty good. 2025's numbers look better than 24, but nothing's really changed.
That was the voice of owner-operator John Penn there, whom Overdrive Radio listeners heard most recently among all of these Trucker of the Year contenders featured in today's podcast. Penn was our last Trucker of the Month this year, in October.
I've been hauling for the same, it's actually brokered freight, but it comes out of a shipper that's 4 miles from my house, and we're going into our 8th year together. So really, I haven't, as far as the rates on that have gone down a little bit, because anybody that's done an LTL, a lot of people hate doing it. And when the rates drop on everything else, everybody comes into that because it pays a little better. But I think a lot of them end up being one and dones, where they haul one load of 20 stock furniture and like, okay, well, I've tried that out and I'll never do it again. But there's a bunch of those coming in. So it does drop the rates down a little bit, but it's okay. But my main goals were for 2025 is just try to, because I've kind of got the work set already, is try to, and you know, I'm always after that efficiency, fuel efficiency, just overall efficiency of the business. And so I've got 2 trailers. One trailer's completely arrowed out, and that's one goal I'd set. I've been putting it off. That's probably the worst trait I have, is I'm a procrastinator. And I think, well, I tried not to use that trailer any more than I have to. But one goal I had set was the efficiency. So I thought I need to completely aero that trailer out. And just last week, I bought 2 lift kits to put on my trailers. Because of the light weight of the furniture, I can have one. Actually, I could be on probably 3 axles a lot of times. So I thought there's no point in dragging those axles around. So I bought 2 lift kits, and we're going to put a lift kit on each one of my trailers. So that should bump up fuel efficiency.
Right.
So just kind of keep on, pressing forward and just try to get that, just try to keep the efficiency of the business going up and up. And that's kind of what moves me in the part of it, because the work's already set. I've got a good truck, and just try to keep on getting better, try to keep on improving that bottom line number.
The second half of the discussion centered on the notion of advice for new owners coming up in the next generation behind these more experienced. In advance of the talk, I asked all to reflect on their own experience and think about their single best piece of advice for new and/or aspiring owner-operators. John Treadway started us off this way.
Really sit down and check yourself and make sure that's 100% what you want to do. Encourage the younger guys to get involved. We need that again, but also just really sit down and go over it with yourself and maybe some friends and family and some of the older guys that's been out here doing it. And really, make sure that's a direction you want to go, because there's tough times, there's fun times. It's great to be a part of this industry, moving America's freight around and keeping businesses going. But your business is the main business. Just like right now, I'm going through some tough times. Just overnight, my engine going down, it really has affected my finances. I'm going to have to try to work as hard as I can to build out of that. Just be prepared. It's not always uphill. There is definitely some downhill slide to it, but just be focused and self-driven and keep on going.
Try to be able to set yourself up to, if not anticipate, at least respond to the disasters as they occur. Your example is a pretty good one in that regard.
Just have your mindset right. Make sure that's what you want to do. And it'll break you down a little bit from time to time, but I think, you just have to have the right mindset to keep going and, gather everything back up and just keep digging at it. On that note, I will say that going into being an owner-operator, having some type of, mechanical background to know at least some basic stuff helps offset cost versus taking everything to a shop and downtime and things like that. But if it's something, that you're wanting to get into, you just have to work at it.
I know you yourself, Hunter, have had quite a lot of just mechanical experience before you were doing this yourself, but Jason definitely had. I think John has some too. Has everybody had start out with some knowledge of the truck mechanics itself, or is it more that everybody here obviously has learned along the way?
Speaking for myself, just John Treadway here. I wasn't so much mechanically, and I'm still not really mechanical. Okay. but I relied on a lot of, my brother's a mechanic, been a mechanic for 40 years.
Okay.
Currently he's a tech at one of the Walmart distribution centers here in Gas City. He's very knowledgeable and stuff. Through other friends, growing up and meeting along the way, everybody's got their own little input, and if you can take all that knowledge in a little bit, it'll help you down the road. I'm still not that mechanical, but something will happen and it'll come to mind. Oh yeah, this guy told me this. Look for this situation. Look in this area, and that's helped me a lot. That way, I can send that information off to a mechanic that might be looking at my truck to help them out. Like I'm feeling this. It's running this way. I think it's in this area. That's what I mainly do. I've got some good friends that are very knowledgeable in the areas, and they helped me a tremendous amount throughout the years.
Oh yeah, having somebody I think to help definitely, that knows that can help you along the way definitely helps. I have a couple buddies of mine that I talk through stuff a good bit. They'll call me, hey, my truck's doing this, or hey, I don't know how to put this on, or whatnot, and I talk them through it. So that does make a difference also.
And Tim, your husband is from. He's got a. Does he have any mechanicking background? Am I remembering that wrong, Hunter? I can't remember.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
He is actually certified through MAC.
Well, I wouldn't profess to be a great mechanic, but growing up around trucks and farm equipment, and
it's the voice of Jason Shelley again. There.
Being an owner operator for 30 plus years, you just learn a certain amount, and then I think the intimacy that guys and gals like us can have with your truck and knowing your truck is huge. It kind of picks up some of the slack of not being the best mechanic, but what that truck should sound like, act like, and even smell like, along with having guys that I can go to that phone call like, hey, it's doing this, where should I go? Or I've had multiple times throughout the years guys just walk me through it. And now with phones that take good pictures and videos, that can become priceless on the road as well. But yeah, that's kind of been something that I've acquired over the years. And then just like you guys said, having that good go-to guy at home that if I can get it in, it's going to get fixed.
Jason mentioned the photos and the videos. John, makes me think John Penn here. We've actually gotten more hands-on over time, I think, with mechanic type work and taking those photos and videos yourself and sharing them out there. I can't remember though, John, did you come to trucking with a lot of previous experience in that regard?
When I was in high school and when I was, in my 20s, before I started working at Air Liquide, so this would have been before 2009, I worked for a farmer that had a fleet of trucks and a farm, and that's what helped me. We did clutches, transmissions, major overhauls, and I was never the boss of that job, but I was the gopher. So you learn a lot just by seeing, and but most of the time it seems like at least the equipment I've had, it's not major engine repair, it's not major transmission repair, it's wheel seals, tires, radiator, water pump, just like I put that overhead video up. It's all that stuff. So
right.
I think in the last 7 years, I think my truck's been into a shop one time. I don't have a shop, but I've got a driveway next to my shop that I call the big shed. So it's better than a lot of people have. At least I can get my air gun and all that stuff out there. So yeah, that saves, it's as far as the repairs go, it's not the repair cost, it's the downtime, which kills you. So that's why I like to try to do everything myself. And just working at the farmer's shop, and he had a nice shop, and so I learned a lot before I ever owned a truck.
It's hard to have this mindset. I heard Hunter say mindset, and the mindset of starting slow, do your research, maybe even work for a carrier that's in the field that you want to get into, or a contractor, whatever you may find, just to really learn about the aspect of the business you want to get into. But then beyond that, it's a tough nut to crack. But if you can get in and establish those direct customers, that's huge. And just establish that personal relationship with a local business or a local manufacturer. Here again, it's hard to do, but obviously if you can have direct freight, that's going to be a huge jump start. Compared to working off the internet board or through a broker. I think also, if you really want to do this, and I heard John say something like, you gotta wanna do this. It's not going to be easy. Right. My model from the start, and I still find myself going back to it, is look for what others don't or won't do. Whether that's handling, tarping, like John said, LTL furniture, gazillion stops, probably some residential and shopping centers. What do other guys don't want to do? And establish yourself, carve out a little niche in one of those areas. along with that, in the Thanksgiving, Christmas season, I think of those years where we worked weekends and we worked holidays, and probably one of the kids in the next few weeks will bring up a memory that says, remember that, Christmas Day that we all piled in the truck and we're going, did Dad's meat run for 3 days and we ate Christmas dinner at Wawa, in Virginia somewhere. Yeah. So it's those kind of things that we did and we'll still do. I wouldn't shy away from that. The work in the weekends, the holidays. I heard on an Overdrive spot this morning, keep an account the last 2 weeks and the last week of the month and then the last week of the quarter and year. Right. Those are important weeks and areas where you can capitalize on. So just be strategic in that what you're doing and when you're doing it. I tell a guy too, just use equipment. Start off something, ideally paying cash and or a low monthly payment. And like I said, I think Q3 and 4 here, equipment acquisition is going to be a lot more reasonable than it's been in recent years. Even parts, I heard of guys doing stuff in the driveway, and I did air dryers this weekend because it's that time of year when you service your air dryer when it starts to get cold, right? So a new air dryer for my truck was like, I don't know, $469 at the dealer. A reman was like $250, let's say. I found one on Marketplace, brand new in the box for $125. Now I set my dad in the pickup truck. He had an hour round trip, but he's looking for stuff to do anyway. So it's just stuff like that, just to be mindful of that I may have not been aware of starting out. I just go to the parts store and get what I needed. And even tires, I think I shared with you before, our one daughter loves regrooving tires because she said it's so satisfying to take a nearly bald tire and spend, literally 20 minutes on it and have it looking almost new. Here again, when I first started out, I just go buy a set of 8 dries, but now we'll regroove them and then we'll regroove them and put them on a trailer. It's just stuff like that you can do to help with that bottom line. And it goes back to, you got to want it because it's hard work. I ran our business out of a stone parking lot for years. Now we have a shop that is really nice, but just to go out there and get it done. And it's not for everybody. And you'll quick weed out those that don't want to, that don't have that mentality or, like I heard earlier, mindset.
What I would say to people is, if you're a company driver now, start running that truck just like it's your own. And that would give you some kind of idea. You could at least track your fuel mileage. You can kind of look at the breakdowns that happen in your truck, and you really need to look yourself in the mirror and say, do I want to deal with this or not? Or am I one of the people that like to shut the key off and go home and not have any headache when I get there? Because really, as I mentioned, I went straight from a company driver to an independent, so I don't know what it's like to be leased to somebody. But it really never stops, even when you're home. And maybe that's just me, but I'm constantly thinking about, what do I got to do to the truck? What do I got to do next week? So it's something that's never ending. And I always say to people, it's like, there's 3 things that you need to have: the right equipment, you need to have the work, and you've got to be hungry. And you're going to miss a lot of stuff in the beginning. And that's, like I always said, I like Dave Ramsey, and he says, live like no one else, so one day you can live like no one else. And so I was gone a lot. And like I said, the old thing, when things were good, I was making hay while the sun was shining, and missed a lot of stuff. But now, I take off pretty much all winter. So, there's sacrifice to all this. Are you willing to do that? And that's what I would say to people. And sometimes, I always say I want to bring the positivity back to trucking, because when I wanted to get into business, a lot of people told me, like I told you, it's nothing but a headache. There's no money in it. You just, right. You're better off being a company driver. And I hate when they say that. There's so many different levels to things. Like, I had a conversation with a guy the other day, and he said, I'm leased to, or I'm a company driver, but a guy's going to sell me a lease purchase truck that's got almost 1 million miles. And it was overpriced. And even though, I want to be positive about it, you got to, sometimes I was thinking back to my own situation. I kind of, I told the guy, I don't think you should do this because I don't think you're ready. So at the same time, I think you should tell these people, are you ready or not financially? And I don't think he was. So you're trying to be positive about it, but be realistic too, because I don't want to see the guy. Trucking can be a blessing or a curse. So you kind of need to not tickle him behind the ears all the time either and say, yeah, everything's going to be great, because a lot of times it's not.
And how much did you spend on that first truck that you bought to start? It was like $5,000 or something. I can remember.
Yeah, I bought it for $5,000, and like I said, I burned up in the summer and froze in the winter. Yeah. It was basically a tin can with wheels. Make sure you track your numbers. Make sure you're financially ready to do this. Either you have the money, or you have a bank that's willing to line of credit or something like that, because a lot of times I think that's what gets guys is one big repair and you're done. An engine goes, transmission, rear ends, and that's it for you. So you got to be ready for that breakdown if it would happen.
Big thanks to Orleans, Indiana-based John Penn, whom you heard there, Jason Shelley of Pennsylvania, Hunter Hubbard in Virginia, and John Treadway, also in Indiana, who got us started with his tale of an engine lost, but backup plans put in place to carry him through. Find all of their stories and those of 6 other Truckers of the Month for 2025 at overdriveonline.com in the Trucker of the Year section of the website. Keep tuned in the coming months for more voices among them here on Overdrive Radio, too, with all in the running for the big 2025 Trucker of the Year win, brand new Bostrom seat on the line, along with a custom-built scale model of the winner's tractor as trophy. Big thanks to Bostrom for sponsoring the Trucker of the Year again for 2025, and to you for sticking with us here through to the end. As John Treadway suggested with his note about continuous learning up top, the opportunity to share the stories of so many experienced owners is, for me, perhaps the biggest upside, in addition to giving credit's due, of course.
Us older guys still need to learn too, and you can learn from each other. I've learned a lot just listening just now.
You never stop learning, and you can always do something a little bit better and more efficient. So I really appreciate the insight that I gleaned here today.
Here's hoping you, too, are gleaning. Big thanks for listening. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Whammick. Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Tisha Mingo, Jim Whitehead, and on drums, Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, senior editor, Matt Cole, executive editor, Alex Lockie, and video editors, Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Glenn. See you next time.